Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I guess we are ready to start the afternoon session. This afternoon session, there are a few changes in the schedule. The first, there will be a lecture by Dr. Salman Al-Awda. It will be 1:30 for 40 minutes, and then the schedule will continue. This morning, Dr. Najwa gave her lecture, so she will be replaced by Ms. Johanna from, the title will be Hospital in the Home. So these are the changes in this afternoon program. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, who's Mr. Sushant Mohapatra. He's a senior innovation economist and director of the Middle East operation for SRI, International Center, Science, Technology and Economic Development, based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. He focuses on economics of innovation, and he actually extends his expertise to Riyadh with King Abdulaziz College. He has experience that include implementation of Technology of Innovation Center, which is TIC program, with the King Abdulaziz City for Science of Technology, and he is advisory service for a high-level committee on the creation of the Kingdom Saudi Arabia National Innovation Economy System. Mr. Sushant will talk about the 5 disciplines of innovation.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try to make it short and sweet so people don't fall off. It's a post-lunch session. I always dread this session myself. The purpose of my talk is to speak about the how of innovation. We have been, in the last 1.5 days, we have been deliberating a lot, thinking a lot about innovation, evidence-based innovation, user-centered innovation, and so on. But how do we go about actually implementing some of these tenets that we have been learning? How do we, as an organization, start to implement some of these processes? So my talk is based on an organizational perspective. I belong to SRI International, Stanford Research Institute, that was spun off from Stanford University. And we have a legacy of over 65 years of technological innovation. And I'm here to share some of the best practices that we have accumulated in our labs. So what you hear from me is a lab perspective, a practitioner's view on how to make innovation actually be created and diffused in an organization. So without getting into the details of the principles themselves, let me just give you a quick background on the organization itself. SRI International was the research department or research wing of Stanford University, established in 1946, but separated from the university in 1970. We are one of the largest nonprofit organizations dedicated to R&D. So we do a lot of contract-based research and development for quite a few national agencies, including NIH in the US, but also a range of private sector companies. So all our staff members, 2,500 plus members around the world, are engaged in research and consulting work. It's a very knowledge-intensive organization, and we have about close to now, 45% or so of our staff having advanced degrees, many of them 2 masters or a PhD. We have about 20 locations worldwide, and in the recent past, we have established a Middle East office in Dubai. Consolidated revenue of over $500 million just from R&D activities. The organization is structured around 5 divisions. The first one is information technology, that really focuses on computing devices and computing software and algorithms and so on. The next one is engineering and systems that pulls together devices and embedded software and hardware and so on. The third field is advanced materials, MEMS and nanotechnology-based multidisciplinary research wing that pulls together strengths from physical and chemical sciences. The next and most relevant to you today is the biotechnology and biomed wing that we have within SRI. I belong to the 5th division, policy division, which focuses on innovation policy, science, technology, and economic growth policies. At the center of our structure, our organizational mission is innovation and impact on the society. There has been a legacy of innovations that have come out of SRI, and from the very morning activity that you do, you touch on quite a few of these SRI inventions and innovations. The computer mouse came out of SRI. It was invented at SRI and it was pushed out to the market from SRI. In the banking sector, you see the magnetic ink character recognition system, the weird characters that revolutionized the banking system, came out of SRI. Ultrasound, minimally invasive surgery, voice recognition technologies, artificial muscles, these are all part of our technology portfolio that have impacted the society in the past. In most recent times, we have been focusing a lot on preclinical therapeutics. Some part of drug discovery happens within SRI and through our partners. But we also focus on a lot on robotic technologies, artificial intelligence, and a multidisciplinary approach towards these technologies. Quite a few of these technologies are in the marketplace and are helping some of the companies the brands that you use on a daily basis, like Samsung, Apple, and so on. So as we do technology development, as we work on these important problems for our clients, we retain the intellectual property and we are able to spin off high-value ventures out of these technologies. Some of the publicly traded companies that came out of SRI include Nuance, the speech recognition giant that is changing the world. We also have Intuitive Surgical and Orchid Cellmark that came out of SRI. And I will be talking about a case study called Siri that you see on Apple iPhone. Apple iPhone 4S, S stands for Siri technology, which is a virtual assistant that is actually an SRI invention. So I'll be talking about that case study. So how does SRI innovate these high-value ventures? Where do we get our ideas? How do we push the ideas through a structured system, through a pipeline? How do we align the organization to deliver, from fundamental thinking and working on technologies to actually marketable intellectual property? At the center of this organizational alignment is the definition. Definitions are important, and yesterday it was very heartening to see that there is a bit of consistency emerging among practitioners of innovation around the definition itself. But let me highlight SRI's view on this. We, as an organization, believe that it is not an innovation until it hits the market. So the creation and delivery of new customer value that was not around, value that was not in the marketplace. So creation of that value and delivery of that value in the marketplace with a sustainable business model for the organization that produces it. Unless you have all these pieces together, it is not an innovation. It might be a discovery, it might be an invention, but it is not innovation. I do not want to dwell on the definition itself, but I just want to remind you that a definition can become a very critical tool to align the organization from top to the bottom. So everybody in our organization basically believes in this definition of innovation and works towards this. From the labs and from the divisions that we operate, these methodical approaches, these standards that have emerged in managing R&D, managing innovation, have been codified by our CEO, our Chief Executive Officer, who wrote a book called 5 Disciplines of Innovation. And this became one of the best sellers by Business Week a few years ago. I want to go through these 5 disciplines because these are a simplified way of looking at how an organization should structure itself. The first discipline is identifying and working on important customer and market needs. And I will spend a few minutes on that discipline. The second one is high value creation. Value creation in a structured way, in a formalized way. The third discipline is identifying and empowering innovation champions. The fourth discipline is developing and giving the power and mandate and resources to innovation teams. And the fifth one is organizational alignment from top to bottom to actually deliver the value. And in our view, these disciplines are multiplicative. They're not additive in their impact. What does that mean? That means if any of these 5 disciplines are absent in an organization, if you apply a 0 as a factor, the end result is 0. If you do not have a value creation method, if you do not have a champion, you do not have an innovation team, even if you have the other factors, the end result is less than desirable. So we really make sure that our projects go through these 5 disciplines, and every time there is a deliberation, discussion from the management, with the staff, with the technical scientists and the business development team, these principles are followed. Let's go into the details of these disciplines. Important customer and market needs. There are many ways of looking at how you identify value, sources of value, and how you structure them and capture them and sort of deliver. In our view, the most important point of recognition of those value is the customer. And customer in the healthcare domain is not necessarily the patient. Patient is the biggest customer in the healthcare world, but also if it is an internal department, a division, like for example the IT division, the patient may not be the immediate customer from an IT perspective, but your customers could be the physicians, the staff, the nurses, the stakeholders. So ideas can come from the customers, and I want to apply a broader definition of customers here because it changes based on the mission of the department, not just the overall mission of the organization. Then the next word I want to highlight is important. Why should we focus on important problems and not interesting problems? As you know, and Thomas Edison has been quoted a few times in this conference already, interesting problems are great to solve. They're great to have, and they're great to consider because they give you some challenges. But important problems are the ones that customers really want addressed. People really want addressed. Those important problems are the priorities. Important problems also ensure that the enterprise, the organization, stays ahead in the game. If you keep on doing interesting challenges that are only interesting to you, and interesting, by the way, is a very subjective phenomenon. What is interesting to me may not be interesting to my colleague, but if it is an important problem for the customer, everybody is energized with the challenge. And important problems actually allow the team and the organization to make meaningful contributions. If the problem is important, the solution has to be important as well. So there's an immediate recognition of effort, and there's a lot of purpose that comes in solving that problem. In our analysis of the kinds of problems that come onto the drawing board when a technology is being considered, there's a high supply of really interesting projects. We see that on a daily basis. But a very small percentage of the portfolio of projects that are considered are actually important problems. So that's where that's the first step towards success or failure. Because if you are spending a lot of resources and money without making sure that the problem is important to the customer, then the end result will not be a commercializable technology or service. The second discipline is value creation. And this is one of the most important pillar or discipline that can be implemented in an organizational fashion. And I will show you some of the tricks that we are using as an organization. And by the way, there are different models. You have seen the Google ideation as a model perhaps. People talk about that, people talk about the IBM approach to idea generation and so on. So these are different models. This is not the only model, but from a perspective of an organization that has been solely driven by contract R&D on a daily basis, without any allocation, without any government funding, without any endowment, a business that has lasted 65 years and survived through the recessionary times and grown, this is a model that has worked for us, and that's why I'm focusing on how we do it. Customer value definition and creating the value, identifying where value comes from is a very important step. In our company, in our organization, whenever a technology concept is debated, we look at the value factor. And the value factor is a simple ratio of perceived customer benefit over perceived customer costs. What is the benefit? And the benefit could be immediate, could be over time, could be technology related, could facilitate a problem, but what is the economic impact or financial impact out of that? Unless you quantify that, you're not really making an objective decision. You're probably going through your subjective interpretation. So benefits and costs are definitely determined by customer, not by us. We may bring an idea to the table, but my colleagues will challenge that and bring different perspectives from the customer and knock it down. And we do that. We do that through an open debate, an open discussion within the organization, within the division that highlights the idea. So creating value, increasing the benefits and decreasing the cost. Sometimes what happens when you start, the benefits might look good, but the costs are very high as well. What you do is you keep on debating with your colleagues, and then you find out alternative ways to either increase the numerator or decrease the denominator. And you come to an agreement that this kind of a value would actually make sense for the technology. And when we are doing this, we follow a structured method. In our organization, you ask anybody in the organization, what is NABC? You will find a consistent answer. NABC is our tool, is a mantra, if you will, that pervades the organization. Every time I throw an idea, it doesn't have to be technology-based idea. Let's say I want to open a business operation in Tokyo. When I go to my management and say, I really see great opportunity, business opportunity in Japan, can I open a Tokyo business? What's your NABC? Show your NABC. So NABC is a framework to walk us through and open the idea to debate and discussion within the organization. N stands for important customer needs. Approach or solution is an important thing. So whenever there is an important need identified, you have to highlight what is the solution, what is the approach you are bringing to the table. Benefits, B stands for benefits, which is, as I discussed, benefit related to the cost. And C stands for competition. and alternatives. If you are debating adoption of a technology, implementing a new system, ERP or customer relations management software or something, what is the competition? Is there an alternative? Do you gather more benefit from that competitor technology? So we need to walk through NABC on every proposition. And when this becomes a shared language, when Value Creation Forum NABC becomes a shared language, you see there is an organizational sort of alignment automatically coming. But despite talking NABC for a long time, we see that whenever ideas are thrown to the group, most of the time, the A is highlighted. Approach, it's my approach. This is what I think. And the needs, customer needs, and benefit to cost comparison and the competitor technologies and services are not analyzed to the same detail. So it's always the approach or the solution that is highlighted. But that's not the right way to do it. That's why we have developed another approach, another sort of technique that allows us to align back to NABC as a balanced framework. We have something called a watering hole process. It's a value creation forum. It's exactly like the watering hole. People from, as you can see, animals from, different species sort of come together to find water, and whenever there is water, they all drink from the same pond. We do these VCFs, the value creation forums, on a regular basis. What happens? Value creation forums are multidisciplinary teams that are pulled around a subject matter or a particular idea. Every 2 to 6 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, we will get an announcement on a particular subject matter. And then there is a little bit of budget assigned by the corporate, by the management, to push this particular subject matter to the value creation forum. Who comes and why should we come? We go there to identify customer needs, to discuss with our colleagues from different divisions what they think. For example, if there is there's a researcher working on sleep disorder, right? So there is an NIH grant he or she has applied for, and they're working on sleep disorder area. They would like to pull in some people from the health policy group, somebody from the information technology group, somebody from the drug discovery group, and see what other sort of knowledge base exists within the company. And so this value creation forum helps in sharpening a compelling pitch, a business pitch, an innovation pitch for that particular idea. So we connect and we sort of accelerate the rate of alignment within the organization by doing this. Who comes here? If I'm a researcher, I'm passionate about the idea, I come. But I may not be connected with the idea at all. I may be a manager who has heard about a related sort of problem somewhere else, and I want to put some of my people into related areas within my center, then I come. So it's a very flexible sort of way of drawing passionate people, interested people into a value creation forum. The third discipline is champions. It's absolutely necessary that you have a project champion. Project champions are different from project managers. Project managers will be driven by the schedule and budget and the delivery of work. Champions will be aligning the goals with the management goals and so on. They will be looking at broader market opportunities and customer needs and drive the entire team around that passion. He doesn't have to be connected. He doesn't have to be a manager or a researcher. He could be a totally unconnected person. But if we don't have a champion, no exceptions, the project is not funded. So if a researcher comes with an idea and we ask, do you have a champion? Are you going to be the champion? If not you, who else? And that's an acid test that we do for all our ideas before they get funding. The fourth discipline, equally important, is innovation teams. Formulating a productive team is the toughest thing. As you can see, a team can be totally dysfunctional, and that is the majority of the cases that we see within the organization and with our clients. Dysfunctional teams are very easy to build, and projects fail because of the teams. So formation of a project is a serious business for us, and we really look at the passion, and we really look at who drives this kind of a team. And there are certain rules. These rules are to be followed by the team. For example, there has to be absolute integrity and respect for others. The team should bring in complementary skills. There should be involvement and empowerment. That sometimes multidisciplinary people bring multiple hats and experiences to this. So the ideation becomes really rapid. And then we celebrate achievement. Even if a younger member has achieved something, we make sure that the highest level of management knows about it. So those are traits that we codify. We make sure that within our process of performance appraisal and so on, these are all included. And finally, a big task is organizational alignment. And given the constraint on time today, I'm just going to rapidly go through these. Alignment is not just at the top. Alignment has to pervade through the organization. So we have, once we develop this common language and methodology, we basically align from the top. The top management, top leadership is involved. To give you an example, if there is an achievement from a team, the CEO makes sure that that achievement is highlighted as the first slide in the all-hands meeting that we have from time to time. So whenever the CEO communicates with the staff on a periodic basis, the first few slides are all about achievements from individuals or teams. Along with that alignment comes the incentives and rewards. Believe it or not, as an organization, we are proud to be part of an innovation creating agency, entity, and therefore we get benefits even if we are not directly connected with an innovation. Whenever there is commercial gain, financial gain out of a particular invention, everybody is rewarded. And the maximum reward, of course, goes to the team that created the innovation. But at the same time, we align the middle management. The middle management are managing the budgets and resources, so they need to be aligned as well. And there are different directors' communication meetings that happen, and communication in paper form also that goes out, as well as the digital communications. So these disciplines, there are structured ways. In fact, we offer these lessons in a workshop format that spreads at least 3 days at a time. So this is a very high-level bird's-eye view of the 5 disciplines. But as I told you, these disciplines are multiplicative in nature, and that's what we do. In conclusion, we have been very actively involved in the kingdom, and we are very proud to see that there is a momentum towards embedding innovation in organizations, and our work at KAXT and KAUST and other universities shows us that the kingdom is in the right path, and I'm very happy to be sharing this with you. Thank you very much.